UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is Talk.
This is Talk with me, Julia Hartley-Brewer, at the home of common sense. Let's turn our attention to GCSE results today. Hundreds of thousands of youngsters getting those results. And once again, of course, they've gone down a bit since the pandemic, but not back down to the level we saw in 2019 with a 21.8%, so more than a fifth of all entries getting the equivalent of an A grade or above. That's grade 7, 8 or 9. That's an A, A star, and A star star. I'm assuming they're saving the 10 one day for an A star, star, star. But let's talk about this with award-winning teacher Stephen James. He's co-founder of the Invicta National Academy, set up in 2020 over COVID to try and make sure that children who'd missed out on learning got reconnected with schools. Good morning to you, Stephen.
Hello, good morning, Julia. How are you?
Very well indeed. Thanks for joining us. Once again, we talk about grade inflation, we talk about those kids who get those top grades, but actually an awful lot of kids who aren't getting top grades, they're getting not just a sort of the 4 equivalent to a grade C or above, they're getting the 1s, 2s and the 3s. And then there's 100,000 kids who disappear from the school system altogether and will never see their GCSE results, and everyone seems to forget about them.
Yeah, and I think what you've hit on there is the real kind of the stats hiding underneath these figures that have come out today is actually a lot of schools, as if a child was off absent, they just withdrew them from the exam. So the grades themselves weren't recorded. Whereas in past times, if you didn't turn up for your exam, you'd get a U grade, and that would be recorded, and we could look at those stats and investigate them further. Yeah. But I think what we should also recognise is the resilience of young people and, how hard they've been working, and they have. And I'm a real kind of champion of young people.
Yeah, but they can only do the work they're given by the teachers who are in the school that they're at, and to the standard they've been taught. But this is the issue, isn't it? Because one thing I find difficult, you get the likes of Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister. He writes a post on X this morning saying, "Congratulations to those receiving their GCSE results today. You've done an incredible job. I know the power of education and opportunity. My government will make sure everyone's path is determined by their talent, skills and ambition, not where you come from." Well, he didn't do that during lockdown. Now, he wasn't in charge. I blame Boris Johnson, the Tory government, for that. But we had 2 separate long lockdowns for kids. This cohort of kids taking their GCSEs, they started in year 7, started secondary school in September 2019. So their first year was disrupted by the first lockdown. Their second year, again, disrupted by months of lockdown. Keir Starmer egging them on. And look, the reality is, if your kid was at a dud school, you didn't get taught. If your kid was lucky enough to be at a good school, you did get taught. So, and they knew that was happening, and they still wanted it to happen. I have to say, I find that unforgivable.
Yeah, absolutely. But, also looking now, you can pull out the grades between independent schools and state schools and the difference and how they've been operating. And
my daughter was at a private school, 6 hours of Zoom lessons every day from day 1 of lockdown. Yeah. I mean, you can't compete with that.
It's exactly why we set up Invicta, because state schools weren't doing that. And we needed to step in and take that role on. But, like I said, I think we need to look at what state schools are doing really, really well and steal it for the state sector. They don't sit on all the great ideas. No. But what the Labour want to do, they want to start taxing it mid-term. Is it January, I think they're adding this 20% VAT charge. Mm-hmm. And what's going to happen is it's going to flood the state sector. Teachers who are already working really hard are going to be working even harder. Selective schools are going to start having competition with these independent students coming in and competing for those places as well.
That's going to push out more of the kids from poorer backgrounds.
Absolutely. And we need to look at schools like Michaela and Catherine Burble-Singh, who is doing incredibly well. I think they got 50% A grades. Yeah. Of course they did. But again,
everyone thinks it's about the money, and so much of it is not about the money. It's about parents caring, it's about teachers caring, and it's about the standards you set and the expectations you have, the aspirations you have. Just saying, no, that's not good enough. You can do better. And having discipline and routine and a good learning environment, and you're not spending half the time telling a kid to stop walking across the desks or whatever else happens in a lot of schools. So much of this it's so obvious, and it doesn't involve money.
It is. It is. But also let's have a bit of perspective as well. Is how important are your GCSEs in the kind of broader sense of your life? Yes, it gets you onto the next step of education, but actually I would love to see young people starting businesses, getting into apprenticeships, doing their BTECs, actually getting into the workplace. And I think that is where opportunity sits. And we're talking about a north-south divide. a child in the north can start a business just as well as a child in the south.
Yeah, and there have been some stats. I mean, I know one of the education ministers has been talking about this, and Bridget Phillipson, the education secretary as well, that there's massive disparity, like the number of kids who go to university from the north and from the south, from the poor and the richer areas. And again, you can only do that if you've done your A-levels or done a foundation course, or if A-levels didn't go well. But actually completely forgetting about the millions of youngsters who don't go on that route.
And incredible successes. And I look at this video now of these people opening their grades.
Yeah.
And I'm a bit jealous. They're at the start of their kind of journey in life and work and developing themselves. Yeah. And I just think, God, if I had that time again, what would I do? What would I achieve?
Yeah.
And I just think, in fact, it's great to be on the same program as Colonel Ingram as well, because we both served in the same corps in the military.
God, you know everybody who comes on the show.
And the British Army is one of the best apprentice employers in the country.
It's a great topic. Yeah, a very good friend of mine's daughter's. Yeah, she's going into the military, and the training that she's going to receive is amazing. But this is the thing: we just need to know there are different kinds of people, different kinds of intelligence, different kinds of people who are going to achieve things and do useful things for themselves, their families, and this country. And people shouldn't be written off. Oh well, you're not one of the kids who's got all the A grades or 9s or 7, whatever it is this week, and it takes all sorts. Stephen James, I know you do amazing work helping these kids who've been basically failed by everybody. He's an award-winning teacher, co-founder of the Invicta National Academy. Thank you so much for joining us. Philip Ingram, I say, do you know everybody, whoever comes on?
Oh, of course, yes. You wouldn't want a former spy who doesn't know everybody.
There is that. Should they admit to knowing you?
Well, I didn't admit to knowing him. And
you make a very good point.
He admitted to knowing me.
It's all coming out now. There's going to be a Hollywood movie made about this at some point. Anyway, the spy who came in from the cold into the aircon. But there we are. Anyway, 11:59 is the time. Up next, we're going to take a break, get the latest headlines, plenty more coming up. Do stay tuned. This is Talk, the home of common sense.